At exactly 11:47 p.m., under the cover of a moonlit suburban sky that hid more secrets than the HOA's bloated rulebook, I twisted a rusted lever buried in the muck of my own backyard pond, community water feature, as they loved to call it. The groan of metal echoed like a bad joke finally landing its punchline, and above me, through the swirling drain of water that had shielded my family's quiet rebellion for decades, I saw the first flickers of panic lights stabbing the night. They thought they owned everything, including the drops in my lake. But oh boy, were they about to learn what happens when a troublemaker like me stops playing nice. This wasn't some impulsive midnight prank. No. This was the culmination of months watching a self-appointed neighborhood empress turn our peaceful cul-de-sac into a petty dictatorship, all while spreading whispers that I was the crazy recluse, hoarding land like a dragon on gold. Let me take you back to how it all started, because if there's one thing I've learned from 45 years navigating bureaucratic BS as a retired city planner, it's that the real monsters aren't hiding in closets. They're chairing HOA meetings with smiles sharper than their manicured lawns. My name's Alex Harlan, 48, former urban planner for the county, the guy who spent 2 decades approving permits for parks and playgrounds, only to watch my wife slip away from a long illness 3 years back. I cashed out early, moved back to Willow Creek Estates in suburban Pennsylvania, a place my grandparents bought in the 50s as a slice of Americana, complete with a modest man-made lake on our 2-acre plot that backed right up to the development. It wasn't some grand reservoir, just a serene pond fed by natural springs, perfect for fishing bass or skipping stones, ringed by old oaks that whispered stories of simpler times. The plan? Restore the old cabin by the water, grieve in peace, maybe write that memoir about zoning nightmares. But peace? In a HOA-run suburb? That's like expecting mercy from a parking ticket enforcer. The trouble slithered in on a crisp May morning, disguised as progress. I was out on my weathered dock, sipping black coffee strong enough to wake the dead, watching the mist dance over the lake like it did every dawn. Then came the rumble. Not the gentle lap of waves, but the growl of diesel trucks invading the access path that skirted my property line. 3 rigs loaded with excavators and pipes, followed by a gleaming black Lexus with plates reading KRN-PWR, Karen Power. How subtle. I set down my mug, heart sinking like a bad investment, and trudged over, my work boots crunching gravel that my grandpa had spread by hand. By the time I got there, a crew in neon vests was already staking out my shoreline with those obnoxious orange flags, like they were claiming it for some colonial empire. A kid in his 20s, clipboard in hand, was snapping pics on his phone like a tourist at Niagara Falls. "Hey, folks," I called out. Keeping my voice level, years in planning taught me escalation is for amateurs. This is private land. No permission. No entry. The kid glanced up, smirking like he'd heard the script before. HOA approved project. Sir. We're good. HOA approved. On my lake, Willow Creek had ballooned in the 90s into a maze of cookie-cutter mansions. But my parcel never joined their cult. It was grandfathered in, water rights and all, a stubborn island of independence amid their sea of covenants and fines. Before I could retort, the Lexus door swung open, and out stepped Karen Vanderbilt, president of the Willow Creek HOA, self-proclaimed guardian of community harmony, mid-50s, Botox smooth face framed by a helmet of platinum highlights, dressed in a crisp pantsuit the color of fresh asphalt, accessorized with pearls that screamed, "I summer in the Hamptons." She strode over like she owned the air itself, heels clicking on my gravel with the authority of a gavel. Mr. Harlan, she purred, extending a manicured hand I didn't take. I'm Karen Vanderbilt. We've corresponded. Corresponded? Yeah. Via those passive-aggressive newsletters where she painted non-compliant folks like me as threats to property values. We're here to discuss enhancing this quaint pond into a sustainable energy asset for the neighborhood. Enhancing? My lake, where I'd scattered my wife's ashes 2 years prior. Reduced to an asset? This isn't some HOA amenity, I said, crossing my arms. It's my property. Deeded since 1954. You're trespassing. Her smile widened, the kind that says, bless your heart, while plotting your demise. She flipped open a leather binder, pulling out a sheaf of papers stamped with official-looking seals. According to our Green Willow initiative, this water body qualifies as shared infrastructure. The board voted unanimously. 500 homes need reliable solar hydro backup during blackouts. Permits approved last week. We're installing a microhydro setup right here. She tapped the page like it was gospel. I leaned in, spotting the red flags immediately. My old job made me a pro at sniffing out shady docks. This permit's from the Township Hobby Board, not the State Water Authority. No EIS, no wetland cert. You can't touch federally regulated waters with this toilet paper. Karen's eyes narrowed, but her voice stayed honeyed. Progress waits for no one, Mr. Harlan. Think of the families, the children, who'll benefit from clean energy. Your pond's just sitting there, and used. We're modernizing it. And used? I caught Trophy Base here last week. But she was already signaling the crew to continue, turning on her heel with a dismissive wave. We'll send you the community guidelines. Compliance is key to harmony. That night, I did what planners do, documented. Snapped photos of every stake, every boot print marring my shore. Dug out the old safe in the cabin, deeds, water rights from 54 stating every ripple belonged to the Harlans. And there, yellowed but intact, a blueprint my dad sketched in 72. An emergency drain valve, buried 15 feet under, tied to a massive pipe routing to a ravine. Installed after a flood scare, registered as flood control. Never used, but capable of emptying the whole 40-million-gallon lake in hours. Dad's note, for when they forget boundaries. I wasn't pulling that lever yet. No, I'd fight fair first, lawyers, hearings, the American way. But as the weeks dragged, fairness felt like a myth. The invasion escalated faster than a viral TikTok. By week 2, they'd floated a barge onto my lake, and started assembling the hydro platform. Turbines, pipes, all sucking water like a vampire at a blood bank. Every dawn, I'd wake to the clang of metal, the beep of backups, watching my serene view turn into an industrial eyesore. And the whispers started. Neighborhood Facebook group lit up with posts calling me the lake hoarder, the anti-progress crank, blocking green energy for our kids. Karen's handiwork. No doubt, she moderated the group, curating drama like a reality TV producer. Then the fines rolled in, stuffed in my mailbox like unwanted junk mail. Violation. Non-conforming shoreline vegetation. Fine. $150. My wild reads. Violation. Unauthorized water usage. Fishing disrupts community aesthetics. Fine. $300. Fishing in my own lake. Violation. Cabin exterior not matching HOA color palette. Fine. $500. My cabin predated their McMansions by 40 years. I ignored them at first, But when I called the HOA hotline, it went to voicemail. For Harmony inquiries, press 1. All decisions final. I lawyered up Sarah Klein, a sharp property attorney from my old county days. She filed an injunction, citing clear title violations. Hearing set for 3 weeks out. But construction didn't pause. It accelerated. Karen hosted town halls in the clubhouse, preaching about sacrifice for the greater good, while side-eyeing my selfish holdout. One meeting, I showed up uninvited, standing in the back as she waxed poetic. "Friends," she cooed into the mic, pearl necklace gleaming under fluorescence. "Our green initiative will slash energy bills by 20%, but certain elements resist. Remember, harmony requires unity." A murmur rippled eyes on me. I raised my hand. "MS. Vanderbilt, that element owns the lake you're drilling into." "Legally." Her smile faltered, then rebooted. "Mr. Harlan, we're all neighbors here. Your pond, our shared resource, deserves better than neglect. The board's permits are ironclad." Ironclad? More like tinfoil. But the crowd clapped, bought her act hook, line, and sinker. The hearing was a farce. Judge Ellis, turns out, golf buddies with Karen's hubby, a local contractor, ruled against us. "Community needs prevail," he intoned, banging the gavel like it was happy hour. Sarah whispered post-verdict. "They greased palms everywhere. Township, Enviro Board. Trials in 9 months. Plant'll be online by then." Defeat tasted like stale coffee. Driving home, I passed Karen's Lexus parked at the site, her directing workers like a traffic cop on steroids. That evening, an old neighbor, Mr. Potts, 85, fished my lake since forever, pulled up in his rusty Ford. "Alex, your pa would have fixed this his way." He nodded at the boathouse. "Secrets in the water." Boy, intrigued, I rummaged the boathouse that night, flashlight piercing cobwebs. Under the bench, a locked chest, key hidden underneath, dad style. Inside, his journal, meticulous entries on the drain system, annual checks, diagrams, a final note: "If they steal the water, son, let it go on your terms." It hit me. This wasn't just flood control, it was a reset button. But patience first. I documented more nightly photos, emails leaked from a disgruntled worker showing bribe chats. The platform grew, blocking my sunset view, turbines humming mockingly. Tensions boiled over when the eminent domain notice arrived. Willow Creek HOA, in partnership with Township, condemns Harlan parcel for public utility. Evacuate in 30 days. They weren't content with my water. They wanted it all. Pocketed it, fury simmering like a slow-cooked stew. Time to act. First, the warning. Certified mail to Karen. Structural instability detected in water table under your installation. Cease operations immediately. Formal notice. Reviewed by Sarah, vague enough to cover me. Receipt showed she signed personally. She showed up that afternoon, idling in my drive for minutes before peeling out. Later, a tip from her own aide, disillusioned by her Harmony hypocrisy, said she trashed it. "Grandma hated bullies," the aide muttered, handing me the crumpled copy. Friday brought their gala, ribbon cutting on the platform, jazz band, bubbly for bigwigs. Karen center stage, toasting to progress. I watched from afar, binoculars catching her smug grin. At 10 p.m., turbines fired up, power to 500 homes. Cheers echoed. 11:15 p.m., wetsuit on. I dove. Cold water embraced me like an old friend. Down to the valve 3 turns, as Dad's journal prescribed. The lake stirred, a subtle whirlpool forming. Surfacing, I watched from shore. Water dropped inches, then feet. By midnight, alarms blared. Workers scrambled, radios crackling. Intakes dry, shut it down. Turbines whined, overheated, then silenced. Blackout rippled, 500 homes dark. Karen screeched in at 1:20 a.m., gown disheveled, heels bogged in mud. What have you done? You've ruined us, she wailed, platform tilting comically. I emerged, casual. Opened my registered flood valve. MS. Vanderbilt. Warned you, letter in your trash. She collapsed, mud splattering her pearls. This was perfect. Permits, connections, everything. Stolen everything, I corrected. Showed her my email to FBI. HOA, docs, bribes, embezzlement. $2.8 million siphoned from HOA dues to her shells. Her face crumpled like wet paper. Dawn revealed the mess. Lake a mud pit, platform wrecked, news choppers buzzing. By noon, feds raided. Karen arrested in her soiled gown, wire fraud, bribery. Hubby followed. CO probation. Officials indicted. HOA dissolved amid scandals. Members furious at her theft. Lake refilled in months. Pristine. I stood on my dock, coffee in hand, trout jumping. Sarah asked if I regretted the chaos. 3 days powerless? Small price for stolen power. Karen had years to play fair. Her prison letter? Kindling. Flames danced over water that remembered its own. But tell me, was draining that lake justice? Or just sweet, petty revenge? Who's the real villain when harmony masks theft? Drop your take below. Did I go too far? Or not far enough?